Good day, class. In our previous class, I did say that today we will focus on the migrating motor complex. But before we do that, we will try to add. I will try to add some few important points to what we discussed last time. Intestinal peristalsis. Intestinal peristalsis are peristaltic waves. They are circular constrictions that are associated with arboreal relaxation of the soot muscle of the small intestine. Intestinal peristalsis is a mechanism for propulsion of food materials from the intestine to the colon. So periodically, contractile ring appears around the gut and moves the chyme a short distance distally. This is made possible due to reflexes initiated by the enteric nervous system. Once the reflex is initiated, the peristaltic wave is propagated. The velocity of propagation of this peristaltic wave is determined by the proximal to distal propagation of the slow waves in the smooth muscle syncytium of the small intestine. The peristaltic waves, just like I said, functions to ensure that the chyme is transported towards the colon. Certain situation, the velocity of propagation of the peristaltic wave is accelerated. Irritants such as infections, chemical agents can accelerate intestinal peristalsis. This will lead to movement of the chyme rapidly through the length of the small intestine. This phenomenon is known as intestinal rush, and it is a clinical manifestation of diarrhea as a physiological response to get rid of the irritants. Migrating motor complex. Migrating motor complex is a type of the interdigestive movement of the small intestine. Migrating motor complex is a type of peristaltic contraction that do occur both in the stomach and the small intestine during the period of fasting or interdigestive period. The pattern of contractility that we had described so far aside migrating motor complex so far relate to behavior of the small intestine. They are all related to the behavior of the small intestine following a meal. However, during periods of fasting or interdigestive period, the small intestines show a different pattern of motility, in which the mixing movements wanes off and peristaltic waves sweep slowly along the length of small intestine. This type of peristaltic waves that sweep slowly along the length of the small intestine is regarded as migrating motor complex. It should not be confused with the regular peristalsis that takes place in the stomach and also in the small intestine that we had earlier described. It is different from the regular peristalsis occurring in the stomach and intestine for 3 reasons. Number 1, a large portion of the stomach and the intestine is involved in migrating motor complex. Secondly, migrating motor complex occur during the period of fasting, interdigestive period. Thirdly, migrating motor complex involves both the stomach and the intestine. And that's why it starts moderately as an active peristalsis in the body of the stomach and runs through the entire length of the small intestine, it could extend to about 20 to 30 centimeters of the stomach or intestine, and it travels at a velocity of 6 to 12 centimeters per minute, occurring every 2 hours. The purpose of the migrating motor complex is to sweep the excess digestive secretion into the colon during the interdigestive period and prevent their accumulation in the stomach and in the intestine. Also, it sweeps the residual indigested debris, indigested food materials into the colon, also preventing their accumulation there. The mechanism involved for the initiation of migrating motor complex is not clearly understood, but it is certain that both the vagal and the hormonal mechanisms are involved. In particular, a gut hormone known as motilin has been implicated as a major factor involved in the initiation of this complex. This marks the end of movement of the small intestine. In our next class, we will focus on the motility of the large intestine. Good day.